Hello friends, welcome to Learn Easy. We will discuss market failure and its corrections. Correction of market failure. Whenever there is a free market, the market equilibrium is supposed to exist, but at times the market itself cannot correct its failures. Then the government interferes in the free market operations to correct the market failure. Two of the most important tools which the government uses in a free market are the taxation or rate of taxes which is being imposed to correct the externalities, and also subsidy that helps those who creates positive externalities in the economy. First, legislation and regulation. The government can make laws that regulate market activity. For example, prohibit smoking in public, which would cause a negative externality. One important kind of legislation the government can undertake is price control. In a mixed economic system like ours, the government can correct market failures of the market in some specific ways, setting a minimum price or maximum price on goods. The government sets the minimum wage above the existing market equilibrium wage to ensure that all workers get a basic minimum wage to sustain them. As low-income workers now get better wages, the higher wage will cause the demand for labor to reduce, as shown in the diagram. There will also be higher supply of labor, workers who want to work because of higher wages. A reduced demand and increased supply will cause excess supply of labor, that is unemployment. Second, maximum price or price ceiling is set to control an increasing tendency of price. It is usually set on rent. This is called rent control, to ensure that low-income tenants can afford to rent homes. But as a result of lower rent, landlord will stop renting more homes, causing supply to contract, as shown in the diagram. Fixing of lower rent has occurred from P to P1. At the same time, lower rent will increase the demand for homes. A reduced supply of homes and higher demand for them will cause a shortage of supply in relation to demand. Third, direct provision of merit and public goods. Since there is little incentives for the price mechanisms to supply these goods, government usually provides them. For example, free education, free healthcare, public parks. The government can do this by nationalizing certain products it considers essential to be provided by a governing authority, rather than the markets. For example, in India, the government operates the only railway network because only it can provide cheap services to its millions of poor daily passengers. Fourth, taxation on products. Imposing a tax on products, indirect taxes, with negative externalities can discourage its production and consumption. For example, a tax on tobacco will make it expensive to produce and consume. In the diagram, a tax has been imposed on a product, causing its supply to shift from S to S1. The price rises from P to P1 because of the additional tax amount, and quantity traded in the market falls from Q to Q1. If you find the topic interesting and helpful, may please subscribe my channel and press the notification bell if not done earlier. Fifth, subsidies. A subsidy is a grant financial aid on products that have a positive externalities. Subsidizing, for example, cooking gas for the poor will increase the living standard of the population. In the diagram, a subsidy has been imposed on a good, causing its supply to shift from S to S1. It results in a fall in price from P to P1 and subsequently an increase in the quantity traded in the market from Q to Q1. Movements along a demand or supply curve of a good only happen because of a direct change in price of the good. Changes caused by any other factor, tax and subsidy included, is represented by a shift in the curves. 6. Tradable permits. Firms will have to buy permits from the governments to do something. For example, pollute at a certain level, and these can be traded among firms. Since permits require money, firms will be encouraged to pollute less. 7th, extension of property rights. One of the main reasons for pollution in public spaces is that it is public. It does not harm a specific private individual. The resource is of the government, who cannot charge compensations easily. So the government can extend property rights, right to own property of public places to private individuals. This will effectively privatize resources, create a market for those spaces, and then individuals can be fined for polluting. 8th, international cooperation among governments. Governments of 2 or more countries work together on issues that affect the future of the environment. So, market failure can be corrected by governments in a variety of ways, and the presence of government is quite indispensable in any modern economy. A mixed economic system tries to balance both sides. There are certain drawbacks to government interventions in an economy. First, political incentives. This occurs when there is a clash between political and economics, because a government is a political entity with political incentives. For example, even though mining companies cause a lot of environmental damage, the government can encourage and promote these activities to garner political and financial support from them. Second, lack of incentives. In the free market, individuals have a profit incentive to innovate and cut costs. But in the public sector, such an incentive is absent, since the government will pay them salaries regardless of their performance. So, even as the government provides certain public and merit goods directly to the people at low costs, they tend to be very inefficient. Third, time lags, information failure. These are some of the government failures arising because of a lack of incentive. Government officers and employees don't have an incentive to provide timely services or give accurate information, and this leads to very inefficient systems. Fourth, welfare effects of policies. Government policies such as taxation and welfare payments distort the market. This means that such policies will influence demand and supply in the economy and cause markets to move away from the efficient points produced by market systems. For example, high corporate taxes will deter companies from expanding their operations and making more profits, or deter new enterprises from entering the market. Unemployment benefits like Bekar Bhata, Juvo Sathi, given out by the government may cause people to stay unemployed and receive free benefits instead of working. That's all for today. Thank you for watching the video.